After head teacher Ruth Perry took her own life last year, the new head of Ofsted says schools should be inspected with far more empathy. Last month, an inquest found that an Ofsted school inspection had contributed to the death of head teacher Ruth Perry, who took her own life. Well, her family have called for root and branch reforms. Now, the new chief inspector of Ofsted says the inspection process needs to be far more empathetic. In his first interview since taking charge of Ofsted, Sir Martin Oliver said lessons have to be learned. Here's our education editor, Branwen Jeffries.
His job matters for children and parents. The new boss at Ofsted will oversee inspections, including schools. Schools facing the challenges left by the COVID lockdowns.
It's a difficult job Ofsted has to do, because ultimately we also have to be about high standards. But I think we can do that in a way which is far more empathetic.
An Ofsted inspection at this primary contributed to the suicide of head teacher Ruth Perry. The coroner has warned more lives are at risk without changes.
I'm determined that we shall learn those lessons.
Do you think the tone of Ofsted's response to Ruth Perry's death was correct?
Well, I don't think it went further enough, and I'm quite clear on that. There's clearly been a lot of criticism, and we must accept that criticism if we're in order to have a fresh start and move on.
So what do you want to do now that you're taking over Ofsted?
So he told me mental health training for inspectors is a top priority before any routine inspections restart later in January. But he also wants to listen to parents. At a soft play centre in Huddersfield, a group of mums meet regularly. Most use Ofsted as part of choosing schools.
Ofsted is a good thing in that it helps people give a measure of a school, it helps find out problems with a school.
My opinion's probably changed because I think at the end of the day their school experience is based on the teachers and the other pupils rather than any reports or any outcomes.
Today, head teachers' unions welcomed the more open tone from Ofsted, but said ministers should scrap one- or two-word judgments of schools.
A single-word judgment can be applied to two schools in very, very different positions, so they don't really work. So we're going to have to modify that. But the government uses those single-word judgments right now to determine whether it should intervene in schools or not. So we would have to find another way, but I'm sure we can do that.
Ofsted needs to rebuild trust with schools and head teachers and some of its credibility. And that's important because parents rely on Ofsted.
He's got a tough reputation, but some change can only be made by government. Branwen Jeffries, BBC News.